How about yourself?
What's your name?
My name is Alex.
Alex?
Yep.
I'm Rob.
Nice to meet you.
I like your backdrop.
Oh, thank you. I'm gonna move this way. I think it's pretty cool too, so I figured it would be appropriate for this interview.
Where are you located?
I'm in Minnesota,
Cool. Where in Minnesota?
St. Paul area.
Okay, okay. I've
Yeah.
never been there.
I don't recommend it. It gets really cold. It was about like in the 30s, so it's not very fun.
Wow. Well, I'd still like to visit there.
Well, you're welcome to come at any time.
Okay.
Where are you calling in from?
We're in Ventura, California. We're like an hour above Los Angeles, 30 minutes below Santa Barbara. We're kind of on the coast. There's some islands off our coast, the Channel Islands. So when you look out off the at the ocean, you can see islands. It's really pretty. It's a nice place. The weather's around 75 degrees all year. When it gets really hot, it's only like 85 or 90 degrees, and when it gets really cold, it's only like around 45. But
Wow.
we've been having we've been having over the years we have wildfires in the last couple of years, because of climate change and stuff. Uh, where I'm sitting in my house, 1,000 houses burnt down 3 years ago, right near me.
Wow.
My sister's house, a bunch of my friends burnt. We were standing in my front yard watching all the houses burn. Like we kind of like a little small hillside behind our house, so you could see them all on fire. Uh,
Wow.
but that's why we write doom rock, because I have a friend here like Cthulhu. He's my little buddy. He kind of sits along. He kind of sits with me, and I brought props too. I have like this is a book I was reading when we picked our first album cover, and I still have the original book right here. So anyway,
Oh, nice.
I'm like
Well,
a kid. I'm like a kid in kindergarten. I brought show and tell.
hey, I'm okay with it. It makes it more interesting, so I'm excited.
Well, listen, I have to tell you up front, I talk too much. So if I get rambling, you can always turn me off or tell me to shut up. And
I
if
would
I'm
never.
not, but if I'm
I
not answering your question, say that's you didn't answer my question properly, and I'll try to revise my answer.
sounds good. So we'll go ahead and get started here. So, how do you feel about the album now that it's about to be released?
Well, it's it's going to be our last album probably. I can't say that. It's hard to say for sure, but I don't know if you noticed, the band put up a thing today announcement. Next year will be the last year that we're playing live, and that's for a variety of reasons. We're getting older, uh, and I think we want to go out, with a bang, not with a whimper. And I'll tell you a funny story. When the band broke up in 1991, people ask us, why are you breaking up? And I said, because this is a young man's game. And I said, if you're old, you shouldn't be playing this type of music. This is for, young guys that have energy and excitement and stuff. And I think we were like, I might have been like 30 years old or something. So when we got back together in 2016, 2015, we still wanted to, we still felt like we had something to offer, and that's kind of what we did. But at some point, you know, we consider ourselves the elder statement of rock or heavy metal. It's some point you have to kind of hang up your towel and just or throw in the towel and say, hey, it's time for us to step aside. And I think that we've had a really good run since the band reunited. We put out Forever Black up here, put out Half Past Human, and then the new album Dark Parade right over here, and then we had Witch's Game, which is over here behind me right here, and the live album. So we did quite a bit of stuff since the band reunited, and we're really proud of it. And speaking about the new album, uh, when we got back together, a lot of people said after we put out right here, Witch's Game, that was the first thing that we did. We wrote that song for a movie that hasn't been released yet, but they're still working on it. And people said, "Wow, these guys can still write music," uh, you know, and they still sound like they originally were. But we're kind of the same band, and so we thought, well, hey, let's put out an album, to show everyone we can still write some really good stuff. And that's what uh, Forever Black up here. And when it came out, people are like, "Wow, this is so amazing." And so we said, well, hey, we can even write one better than that. And so that's how Dark Braid came about. It's I think our whole if you look at all our albums behind me, it's a constant evolution. And every record we tried to do better than the one before. And we also I wanted everything my whole life has been like I love heavy music, heavy metal, heavy rock. And the goal was just to try to get heavier and heavier and heavier. And I think with this latest one, I can't say we totally achieved the goal we set out for, but I think we came closer.
So how do you feel about that? This kind of being like the last album on the last tour. Are you excited? Does it make you sad?
Yeah, I'm sad. Yeah, but I'm also excited too. And we still have another year of playing. A bunch of shows, and that's another thing we thought. Uh, we're good friends with the guys in Manila Road, and when Mark died, he died on the road playing. Everyone was really horrified, and people really they really missed the band and stuff. And I think what we're trying to do once again, before we die on a stage, we want to go out and play while we still have we have power in us, and we have excitement, and we're still we don't have to have walkers on stage.
I mean, I would still go to a show like that. That sounds interesting to me.
Now the band, we talked about this, and I'm kind of joking, but obviously none of us are making a lot of money doing this. We're doing it because we love the heavy metal. But if we were making a lot of money, like a few of the top name bands, or like the Rolling Stones or something, I'm sure they have roadies that carry them on stage, and lift them back out to their limousine, and then I read somewhere the Scorpions weren't getting along, so they actually they had separate hotels or
Wow.
separate private flights, to the concerts. You know what I mean? If we were making that kind of money, we might go on until we died. But I think I think we've accomplished everything we set out to do. And after you pass away, there's not much you leave behind, any of us, besides, regrets and our ashes, right? But at least for Cirith Ungol, we've left this catalog of albums, and I can't say there's one bad one on there. I mean, there's a few weird songs here or there on one or two of the albums that I wish we could go back and change, but on the majority of them, including the ones that we did since we got back together, I think they're super heavy, and we're very unique. Our music is not like any other band, and so I think that's what our legacy is going to be.
Well, do you have a favorite song on the new album?
Oh yeah, no, I have a bunch of them. I like "Sailor on the Seas of Fate," and there's a story behind that. When I was a kid, my parents took me to go see Ben Hur with Charlton Heston. And if you know the story, uh, he's a guy, and he goes to visit his parents in Israel, and he's standing on top. They were rich, and they had like a big fancy house. He's standing on top of a thing, talking to his mother, and he bumps into a thing, or maybe it wasn't even him. Maybe it was his sister or someone. Anyway, they knocked a flower pot off, and there's like a Roman general parading down below, right? And it crashes in front of his chariot. So they arrest him, and they put him into on a slave ship. And on the slave ship, they're all rowing, and at the front of the rowers, there's a guy there with a big wooden stump with leather on it, and he's got these big hammers. He's hammering down, uh, the beats for the guys to row to. And ever since I was a kid, and especially being a drummer, I just love that scene. And I always told the guys in the band, I wish we could write a song that's kind of based on that, right? Now, everyone always asks me, what's this song about? I'm telling you what I think the song about. If you ask every other member of the band, they tell you a totally different story. But in my mind, every time I play that song, I'm like pounding. And if you get a chance, go on YouTube and you can find it really easy. Type in the Ben Hur rowing scene, and it's really good. And when they start out, they have like battle speed. They go boom, boom, boom. And then they go attack speed, and it goes boom, boom, boom. And then they have ramming speed, and it's boom, boom, boom. And all the rower guys are trying to row to keep up with it, right? So anyway,
Mhm.
that was and I know that's kind of simplistic, but that was my whole idea, especially for at least the drum beats in the song. And then also at the beginning, we don't we really never used that many weird sound effects, even though I kind of wanted to. And back in the olden day, like when King of the Dead came out, this album right here, I wanted to have like Roman soldiers stomping or like a heartbeat at the beginning of the song King of the Dead. And this was
Yeah.
before the internet and it's for digital media and stuff. And I remember asking my doctor, hey, can you get me a heartbeat sound? And he's like, what are you talking about? Right. So anyway, at the beginning of Sailor on the Seas of Fate, we wanted to be kind of like something to set the kind of like not the theme, but the mood of the song. And so you can hear like the waves crashing and a boat creaking like it's an old pirate vessel or like an old sailing ship. And we got that, and it was just so amazing. And I wanted to add a seagull, and the guys in the band said, "No seagulls." And I go, "Come on!" I go, and so they go like this. They go, "One seagull." So if you listen, there's like one seagull there at the beginning. Anyway, so that was something that I kind of fought for. And then, I love all the other songs. One of my other favorite songs is "Looking Glass." Metal Blade Records just released it as a single, and I
Mhm.
love it because it's got like a really kind of cool. Me being a drummer, I really love the drum beat. It's kind of like really kind of like a groove and drum beat. And handful of our songs have kind of like an area in the middle of the song where it slows down for guitar solo, and this song has a similar part to it like that, and I just love it. And when we come back, it comes back to the driving beat again. So I don't know. I think maybe those two songs might be my favorite.
I have to ask, why a seagull?
Well, the seagull. Well, we live by the ocean, so we have seagulls. There's seagulls. If I walk down on the beach, I see a seagull. Me and my wife, we walk around. We try to hike around and do stuff. Some seagulls fly over my house. We have hawks and all sorts of crows and other birds. But to me, when I'm at the ocean, when I hear a seagull, it kind of reminds me of the ocean. So I kind of wanted to stick it in there. And
Okay.
the guys in the band are like, no, no seagulls.
But you got one in there, so hey.
Now, I want you to know, it's like we're not lightweights. I actually have like a really fancy like outdoor mic, and I went down to an area. We have a bird sanctuary where there's thousands of seagulls and pelicans and other birds. And I went down there with my mic and I tried to record them, but it was so windy. I got a bunch of really great seagull sounds, but when I came home and I listened to it, it was all like, all you could
Oh,
hear was
no.
the wind. So anyway,
Right.
so
So where
we had to hire an actor seagull.
okay. Well, I mean, I guess you tried to do it the natural way, but the wind was not cooperating. So, where did the name for the album cover come from? The Dark Parade,
uh, you mean the picture behind you, or
or the name? Like, where did you come up with the name?
oh, Dark Parade? That was Tim's idea. Now that's another thing. I told the band, I go, when as soon as I heard Dark Parade, it reminded me, and it's kind of in the Metal Blade press release. There's a short story by H.P. Lovecraft called "The Horror at Red Hook," and then near the end of the story, it's in a subterranean grotto, and there's these inhuman kind of like monstrosities parading along, going up to this swollen deity sitting on some golden throne, and in the background there's like organ playing and stuff. And anyway, you have to read the story. It's a really good story. But I told the guys in the band, every time I hear the name of this song, that's what I think of. But Tim
Mhm.
wrote the lyrics for this, and to Tim, if you look at our last three albums, behind me, Paradise Lost, Forever Black, and Dark Parade over here, side two of all three of those albums is kind of Tim's lyrical comment on like the fall of mankind and the end of the world. And our band over the years, we've had kind of like a dual personality. A lot of our songs are about sword and sorcery stuff, like Frost and Fire, Frostmourne Stream, stuff like that. And then we've also had one of the first songs that we put on Metal Massacre One, "Death of the Sun," was kind of like a doom related song, like when the sun would die and explode and melt everyone on the earth. And then we wrote a song, "Doom Planet,"
Mhm.
which was on Paradise Lost, and I think it might have been, I think it was on Paradise Lost, but it's a similar theme song, like end of the world. If you kind of look around you, a lot of bad stuff's going on right now, whether it's a climate, political warfare. Uh, so in a way, writing songs about that. We're kind of just reflecting what's happening around us. And we actually wish. I mean, we wish that everyone was handing everyone flowers, and it never flooded or burnt anywhere. We'd write it. We'd be like the Carpenters. Maybe we'd write different songs, but since everything's so angry, that's what we're doing. We're writing music for the times that we live in. I'm not sure that answered your question, but
Yeah, it did.
so anyway, I think of the Dark Parade as H.P. Lovecraft story. Tim, who wrote the lyrics, thinks of it as like mankind's march along the road to extinction. I guess that would be his.
I really love how like everyone in the band thinks every song's about something different. Like it gives you so many perspectives instead of just like one idea, like it's about this. Like, no, it could be about this or this or this or this.
Yeah, and the other joke is if you ask everyone in the band, they'd say, "I wrote that song." So I mean, we all kind of wrote them together. So.
Well, then that's true. Everyone kind of did chip in to write the song. So,
Yes, well, that's yeah. We're all. It's like a recipe. If you leave something out, then it, your bread turns out flat or something.
so I know you guys have done quite a few albums. Are there any Easter eggs or hidden references in the new album for fans to be looking out for?
Yeah, but they're probably secret. I mean, it's like sometimes we throw stuff in there that we want people to kind of find on their own. And it's
Hmm.
not it's not like the guy that wrote the book where people have to go tear apart parks all over the world to find some hidden key or something. That would be too extreme. Uh, but one other thing everyone asks is Velocity, the first song on there. Tim
Hmm.
wrote all the lyrics on this album, uh, and at the end of Velocity it says SEP. And we ask him when he wrote it, what does that mean? He goes, "Oh, I'm not going to tell you," right? So everyone asks me, "What does that mean?" And honestly, I don't know because, and I think, I guess it's similar to like Black Sabbath had a song NIB at the end of it,
Hmm.
and then someone told me that means nativity in black, and I never knew that. So maybe someday before Tim dies, he'll like, or maybe on his deathbed, they'll say, "What was your life about?" Or they won't say that. They'll say, "What does SEP mean?" And maybe he'll spill the beans right then.
Well, then I guess you can just make up whatever you want and just tell people it means that until you finally know what it actually means, too.
Yeah, that could get, I guess it's like playing Scrabble or something. You have three letters to work with, so come up with whatever you want. But
Yep.
I I guarantee somewhere in his mind, because that song's similar to the other songs that he's been writing, it's something probably pretty gloomy. You know what I mean? It's not.
I hear you. Did the band run into any sort of challenges when creating the album?
Yeah, you know what? I think a lot of times, when we do these records, and some of the early albums, we had like almost a 5 year stretch between like one foot in hell up here, right above my head, and Paradise Lost, and that's
Hmm.
because we're always either looking for a record company. At one point, the recording studio that was right next to our band room was being rebuilt. They're under construction. Or the record companies were changing. A couple of times, our record company changed its name and turned into a new company. And so, I mean, in the past, we've had those kind of problems. But with this, I think with the last couple of albums, our only thing was kind of like deadlines. Everyone has to have a deadline. We have to have a deadline to be over by a certain time today. Uh, we had to have an album done by a certain time, and we're the kind of guys, and that's a joke. Like we'd work on this album for another 2 years if we had the time and the money to do it, because we probably would have tried to get everything even more perfect.
Right.
'Cause every one of us after the album was over said, "Oh, I wish we'd have done this," or "I wish we'd have done that," or "I didn't like this, I didn't like that." So I would say maybe the last couple albums, the only thing that we ran into is the deadline like a brick wall. But at some point, you have to stop what you're doing. Getting back to my bread thing, if you leave the bread in the oven too long, you say, the longer I leave it in, the better it'll get. Pretty soon it's burnt, right?
Yeah. No
then,
one
the
likes
house, then the house burns down.
Yeah, no one wants that either.
And then when the house burns down, it's one of our songs.
So how do you feel fans of the band will react to the new album, especially the ones that have been following the band from the really early days?
Yeah, and so far everyone really likes them. And the irony is, we don't write the music for, and the reason we weren't successful originally, a lot of the bands in the area, they're playing the hair metal or whatever was in style at the time, uh, with thrash metal or whatever, whatever new wave, a lot of bands would jump on those bandwagons. From our very first albums, we were trying to write music that we liked, and we didn't care if anyone else liked it. So the fact that other people like it is really not only extraordinary, but it's amazing, and we're honored. And I guess we feel kind of fulfilled thinking that, hey, we wrote this for ourselves, but you like it, which means that it kind of justifies why we wrote it, I guess. So yeah, no. The number one comment has been, hey, like for our last two albums, this sounds like it was written in the 1980s, or it sounds like it was recorded in the 1980s, but that's kind of where we sprung from.
Right.
So, I mean, it'd be like if Picasso was alive and he painted a picture, it'd probably be a person with, you know, eyes on one side of their face, and people say, wow, that looks just like your last painting. So I
Yeah.
guess that's the number one thing is, hey, you guys still sound the way you were before, but we're trying to improve on that. We're not changing our style, we're not changing our delivery. We're just trying to write better songs and produce them and record them better.
Yeah, I know when I listened to some of the songs, that's what I was thinking, like 70s, 80s metal. And I was like, I love this. This is great. Because like music just isn't the same as it was way back then. So I'm like, this is amazing because it sounds great even nowadays. So I love the new songs.
Yeah, you know what I'm more interested in? I know people want to do a lot of interviews, but what I really like doing is reading the reviews of the albums. Like I'd like to read a review of what you thought of the album, uh, whether it's negative or positive, just to see what other people take from it, because that's what kind of makes us feel good. Matter of fact, one of the worst reviews for Dark Parade up here, the guy wrote, "I really don't like this album, but I can't figure out why." And he literally said, he goes, "I'm listening to it 5 or 6 times a day, just trying to think of why I don't like it." And we thought that was hilarious, because if he's listening to the album over and over again, and that's the other joke, some people listen to our band and they don't like us. When our first album came out, a guy wrote us, he goes, "I like your music, but I hate your singer, get a new singer." And then, like, around 6 weeks later, we got another letter from the guy. He goes, "I've listened to it 100 times and now I really love your singer. Don't ever get rid of him." So that's I think the more people listen to our music, you know, maybe they become immune to it, or maybe it just kind of grows on them like a fungus or something. So
Hey, whatever works. I mean, they're fans, right?
yeah, that's my joke, because it took 20 years for everyone to start really liking our music, our earlier music, even though some people liked it back then. My joke is that 20 years from now, people look at Forever Black and Dark Parade as these heavy metal classics from like the 2020s or something.
Right. Well, I think it's a great, from what I've heard of it, it sounds really great. I'm like, yes, I found another great band. This is awesome. So
Well, thank you so much. I know we're almost running out of time, but I want you to know, if you have any questions I didn't answer, go through our manager or the record company, have them send me if you have any questions that you don't feel answered correctly, and I will type out a response for you. So,
I appreciate that. I do have one last question here. Is there any sort of like, I don't know, comments, like letter, whatever you want to call it, to tell your fans that have been, with you since the beginning and fans that are fairly new?
yeah, try to get out. I'll bring up Cthulhu here. He's my little buddy. Try to get out. Next year is the last year we're playing live, so try to come up to one of our shows. Now, the reason that we're not playing all over the place is because some of our band members still work regular jobs trying to support themselves. So we can't take off 60 days and tour without getting fired, from your regular job. But we're trying to play as many shows as we can. And even if you have to travel 100 miles, 200 miles to see us, think of us. We just traveled, 22,000 miles to play in Greece or wherever. So come out and see the band while you have a chance, because once it's over, it's over.
So get out and see them while you can.
I hope we can play near you. I think maybe if we play Chicago or something, that might be. And I know
Yeah,
that's still a long ways away.
I'll still be on the lookout for tours. So, I mean, I'll definitely be on the lookout. I'm sure other fans will be too, especially since it's their last chance. They need to get in now.
Well, thank you, and I'll look forward to seeing the review of the album. Uh, are you on a webzine or
I'm actually a Instagrammer, so I post
okay?
and post the interviews on YouTube and things like that. So,
Okay, we'll come. Let's be friends on Instagram.
okay, I can definitely do that. Is their handle just? I think I saw the band. There's like an official.
uh, there's a band Cirith Ungol, and I'm Robert Garven.
Okay, I'll definitely look you up and send you a friend request.
Hey, thank you so very much.
Thank you for taking your time to do this interview.
Yes, and I'll come visit you in Minnesota.
Sounds good.
Okay, I'll bring my jacket.
Jacket, probably some thermals, some boots, hat, gloves. It can get -50 here in January and February, so
I love that.
good day.
Okay, Alex, it's very nice talking to you.
You too. Take care.
Okay, bye bye.
Bye.